Yesterday, Mick Jagger hit the headlines after it was reported that he was diagnosed with acute traumatic stress disorder following the suicide of his long-term partner, Lorraine Scott.
It's a condition that affects 1 in 3 people who've suffered a trauma, and in a challenge unlike anything they've done before, Nick and Eva Speakman join us now.
Hi. This is very different for you.
Yes.
And in the past, you know, you've cured phobias of ice and peas and being outside and being inside. There's something about this that really does strike a very serious chord: post-traumatic stress disorder.
Well, I'm glad you said it that slowly, because it is stress from seeing a trauma, and that's seeing something that in an ideal world we should never see.
Yeah, it's an absolute normal reaction, in essence, to very abnormal circumstances.
So what do we know about what it does to us, why it affects some people and why it doesn't affect others?
Well, it's still not a definitive on it, because it affects, as you said before, 1 in 3 people that see a trauma it affects, but 2 out of 3 it doesn't. So why is that? And we don't actually know.
And obviously you normally deal with phobias, so what's the difference? How do you treat this in a different way? Do you treat people with phobias?
You do have to treat this in a different way. Firstly, in a very sympathetic manner. Obviously, a phobia is an unreal situation in that somebody has a fear of something that they needn't fear, so they've created a belief that's actually incorrect. Whereas with post-traumatic stress disorder, it is a very normal reaction. You do get flashbacks, nightmares, insomnia. You know, there's so much that comes with it, because in essence you're revisiting the memory, trying to fix it, and then there's guilt associated with it.
And that's one of the biggest components, the guilt. Could I have done something? What if I would have done something different? This might, you know, I could have saved that person, or I could have made a big difference, and guilt is a major part.
Well, I have to ask the question in that case, what about the stories we hear of our brave servicemen and women who come back from the battlefront utterly traumatised, sometimes for the rest of their lives? Are you saying that there is a way to make their lives easier?
Well, you know, when we've worked with soldiers, what we've had to do, because there's a difference between just a one-off trauma and someone on a battlefield, because on a battlefield they see prolonged traumas, and there's several different traumas. So when we've worked with soldiers, we've had to unpack everything and say, well, you know, what are all these things, and you know, and get them all down and then work with them individually. But it's our belief that there's always a way. There's always a way.
And the story that you are working with us on this morning is one that does have a deeply traumatic centre to it.
It really does, yeah. We worked with a young lady who found her sister murdered, which is something that nobody should ever experience. And therefore, like I say, you know, it's so understandable that the moment that she found her sister, you know, her life completely changed. She was trapped in that moment. What else could I have done? Could I have changed it? What was the difference? You know, what difference could I have made? And she felt very helpless, but she's been reliving every single day since that moment.
Well, this is Zara Ashton's story.
She was a happy, bubbly girl. She was always happy, always smiling. The kids, she idolised the kids. They was a world. Girls. She was my best friend.
In June 2013, mother of 2 Linzi Ashton was brutally murdered by her ex-boyfriend. Michael Cope pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life imprisonment. This tragedy has left a devastating mark on Linzi's friends and family, not least her sister Zara, who discovered Linzi's body with her partner Ian.
I heard from Linzi all morning, and we'd phoned around her friends, and nobody had seen her anywhere. So me and Ian dropped the kids at home, got the key and went straight to Linzi's house.
I ran upstairs, went into Linzi's bedroom, and seen someone was in the bed, but the quilt was covering him. So when I pulled it back and seen it was Linzi, and that she clearly wasn't alive.
But I knew she was dead straight away. She was all swelled up. So I gave her a hug and a kiss and asked her what he'd done to her. I lost everything when I lost my sister. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I just don't really get dressed. Just ruin my life.
She does find everything hard, and she does have flashbacks all the time and panic attacks, and doing the normal things like just going out and doing some shopping can be so much hard work.
I've missed out on a lot of things. I missed out on my daughter starting her dancing lessons just because I can't take her. Don't do anything to her.
I'd love to see the old Zara back that has a smile on her face and bounces out of bed every morning with life in her.
Zara's condition has affected her whole family. Her mother has written a letter which she's asked Ian to read.
I'm no good at putting my feelings down on paper, but if it helps to get the old Zara back, I'm willing to try and support Zara, to try and get herself well again. I didn't lose one child, I lost a whole family. Everyone changed personality. My happy-go-lucky children turned into people I didn't know. So if you can help to get them back, it would mean the world to me.
Everyone's noticed that I've changed. It just was me that didn't realise. But I do now. I just want my life back.
With her condition affecting not just her, but her family and children, the Speakmans have their work cut out.
So, Zara, let me ask you, why have you not been able to come to London to see us?
Well, through my anxiety and panic attacks, I was scared of getting on trains or buses, anything. I just don't want to be around loads of people.
Linzi's doing really well. She's really engaging in what we're doing. However, she's still very emotional.
I get angry, very angry all the time. I struggle to breathe when I get in certain situations. I just can't breathe.
She's struggling with guilt because she's got this, I could have done something, I should have done something, and if I would have done something, this wouldn't have happened.
Zara's actually concentrating on Linzi's death as opposed to her entire life prior to that moment. If I ask you, Zara, to picture Linzi's face, what do you see?
The face, all swollen.
How would you know that you're actually over the problem?
If I could go out tonight with my cousin to watch the lights being switched on. He's asked me and I've ignored him.
Okay, why have you ignored him?
Because something just go away.
So what's the possibility of you going tonight to see those lights switched on?
Not a lot. No.
No?
No.
Zara's family's dream is to get Zara out in crowd and to start living her life again. Our dream would be to bring Zara to the studio with us happily. So we just really hope that we can do this for her.
Michael Cope was jailed for at least 27 years for the prolonged, extremely violent and determined attack before he be considered for parole. He admitted murdering Linzi and 3 counts of assault at the beginning of his trial in January, and that clearly has had an emotional effect on you guys. You can see the pain on her face.
Just the whole thing, you know, nobody should ever have to experience what Zara experienced. It was painful to see. When she came to see us, just, you know, she was carrying so much pain, so much guilt. She's got 2 children. She's not been able to do the things that a mum should be able to do.
And the letter from her own mother as well. It's just so...
Yeah, like losing both the children, in theory.
Earlier, we heard the heartbreaking story of mum of 2, Zara Ashton, whose life was shattered when she found the body of her murdered sister.
And this is what she had to say.
I lost everything when I lost my sister. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I just don't really get dressed. Just ruin my life.
How difficult was it to change her perception?
Well, I think for us it was really an emotional day to see how Zara was suffering. It it wasn't difficult in that she was ready. She really understood that she really needed to change because you know, she'd stopped eating, she'd stopped sleeping. When she did fall asleep, she was having nightmares and flashbacks. So it didn't take too long because she really embraced what we did.
What she wanted to do was to go out that evening, to go out and see the Christmas lights.
She did, yeah.
And she said that at the end of her time with you.
That's right, and that would be a good indicator for us, knowing that she'd actually progressed and got over it.
Let's have a look at the moment that she went out to see those lights. Did she manage to go out and do it? And there she is for the first time outside. Said that she would never be able to do it. Could not imagine a moment that she'd be able to get out and be amongst other people.
Oh, St Anne's Square.
And here she is now. In you come, darling. Come and have a seat.
Incredible.
How are you? Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you both. How do you feel about this? Because your mum wrote in, and it was a situation where everyone was really desperate because you had fallen into this dreadful hole of post-traumatic stress disorder. Did you think you would be able to achieve that?
No, not at all. I've been like that for 17 months now.
And how was it when you went out?
Went on Friday. Brilliant. Really good. I loved it.
How long was she out for?
Till about 5 o'clock in the morning.
She had a lot of catching up to do, that's why.
Yeah, it was almost as if, we were talking about you earlier on, it was almost as if something had been released. Yes. Suddenly, you could do the things that you wanted to be able to do.
Smile again.
Yeah, and I think the way that we describe it to Zara was that when that incident happened, it was like she was playing a record and that it was stuck on that moment, so it kept playing but catching within that moment. And the therapy literally just gave her a little gentle push so that it could carry on playing and her life could unfold as it was meant to.
Because you never program grief out of somebody.
And that's a process, Philip. That's grief is a process, and I think that you've got to understand that that is something that's perfectly normal that everybody has to go through, because that is part of the healing process.
And for you, what difference will it make to your lives?
Oh, all the difference. I can do things again. I can take my kids out again.
Yeah. See, that's the thing for me when we were talking before. I think anyone that can't be the mum they want to be is just heartbreaking to me. Even just before with Claire, it's how your children seeing you smile must be life-changing for them.
Yeah, they're really happy. Really happy.
And you've been an incredible support, but nice to get a portion of your life back as well, I suppose.
It's just great to get Zara back and the kids get the mum back.
Would you believe that it was possible?
No, I wouldn't have until it happened, and it's amazing. She's back to being Zara, and that is what it was all about in the first place.
Well, well done, well done. Thank you so much for
it's just that it feels
coming
like
in
a
today.
miracle, doesn't it?
How does it feel to be here? Because I know that you were going to say, well, OK, do you want to come straight to the studio? No, we're going to have a look at London. You've done all of that as well.
Yeah, it's my first time in London, so
well,
I've had a good
welcome.
look round.
Well, thank you, guys.